Philadelphia Eagles general manager Howie Roseman operates in a perpetual state of being all-in. Shortly after the Pittsburgh Steelers shipped safety Minkah Fitzpatrick off to the Miami Dolphins in exchange for Jalen Ramsey, ESPN's Adam Schefter reported that interest in former Defensive Player of the Year and four-time All-Pro TJ Watt is surging around the league. If Watt ultimately becomes available, trading for Watt is the kind of blockbuster move that Roseman has developed a reputation for making and that has helped turn the Eagles into perpetual Super Bowl contenders over the past half-decade. Eagles linked to potential TJ Watt blockbuster trade. Whether it is a draft night trade to acquire A.J. Brown from the Tennessee Titans, rounding out one of the premier receiver duos in the sport, or taking a flyer on former first-round draft choice Jahan Dotson and his accompanying upside, Roseman isn't a stranger to bold trades for top talent. Andrew Filipponi of 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh suggests that if Roseman called Steelers general manager Omar Khan offering Nolan Smith and a draft pick, that it might be all it takes to pry Watt away. You know, the Eagles, once upon a time, traded Kiko Alonso for Shady McCoy, Filipponi said, during an appearance on 94.1 WIP in Philadelphia. The Steelers just traded Minkah Fitzpatrick for Jalen Ramsey. I used to just live in a world where I was like, all right, maybe a first-round pick is all you get back. But maybe there would be players involved. Like if the Eagles called up the Steelers and said, we want TJ Watt. We'll trade you Nolan Smith and a late-round pick. I think they make that trade. I really do. I think that would be the type of thing that would get Mike Tomlin's attention. Especially if he thinks TJ Watt doesn't want to play here and is too expensive and is 30 years old. So, I don't know. I mean, I would think originally, hey, a first-round pick and then you go from there. But maybe they would want a player based on how things went with the Dolphins trade. What is one of the true difference makers at a premium position that Roseman and the Eagles philosophically place a significantly outsized premium on and would elevate an already dominant pass rush that sacked Patrick Mahomes 6 times in Super Bowl 59 without even blitzing? Through his first 8 seasons, Watt has produced 108 sacks, reaching double-digit sacks 6 times in his career, including a personal best 22.5 in 2021, when he took home Defensive Player of the Year honors. Trading Smith for what would be a move that sacrifices some of the 24-year-old, former first-round pick in the 2023 NFL draft class's potential, but could significantly bolster Philadelphia's chances at winning multiple Super Bowls in the next 3 seasons. There is little question that Watt would be a significant upgrade to a unit that is one of the Eagles' strengths, but is entering this season looking to replace the production lost from Josh Sweat and Milton Williams' free agent departures. Could the Eagles afford to trade for TJ Watt? In all likelihood, the Steelers and Watt will reach some sort of agreement, ending a bitter contract impasse that has hung over Pittsburgh throughout the offseason. However, if Watt ultimately becomes available, Roseman and the Eagles are well positioned to capitalize on the strife between the 30-year-old playmaker and the Steelers. As training camp nears, the Eagles still have upwards of $30.78 million in cap space this season, are projected to have approximately $17.72 million on hand in 2026 and $95.92 million in spending flexibility in 2027. Likewise, given the fact that the Eagles' play in the NFC can't hurt Roseman's chances of striking a deal because Khan, Tomlin, and the Steelers would likely prefer not to have to face Watt on the road to a Super Bowl in the AFC. With ample cap space, at least a passing need in upgrading the pass rush, and Watt's track record as one of the most disruptive players at his position, Roseman and the Eagles may be positioned to pull off one of the biggest moves of the offseason. The Pittsburgh Steelers have been one of the most active teams of the offseason, and their free agent visit with Gabe Davis has gone somewhat under the radar. While he isn't nearly as big a name as DK Metcalf, George Pickens, Jalen Ramsey, Minkah Fitzpatrick, or even Jonnu Smith, the former Jaguars wide receiver has visited multiple teams since his release. While Gabe Davis has yet to sign with a team, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler reports the Steelers could add him to the mix. This makes sense, as the Steelers still need another wide receiver to pair with Metcalf. Jonnu Smith adds some reliability as a tight end, but Davis can compete with the unproven receivers to start outside. Of course, the Steelers aren't the only team pursuing Gabe Davis. While his time with the Jaguars was nothing to write home about, his Bills tenure shows he can be a reliable depth receiver in the right system. In no particular order, the following three teams could make a move for the former fourth-round pick before the Pittsburgh Steelers get the chance to sign him. Steelers still an option for Gabe Davis. Other. Los Angeles Chargers. The Los Angeles Chargers re-signed old friend Mike Williams in hopes that he might have one or two good seasons left in his tank. Perhaps he can bounce back in 2025, but his 2024 tape suggests his best years are far behind him. Gabe Davis isn't going to match the 1,100-yard production of a younger Williams, but the Steelers' free agent target could use a 6'2", 225-pound frame to be the outside perimeter threat this offense desperately needs. New York Giants. The New York Giants have one of the game's best wide receivers in 2024 first-round pick Malik Nabers. Unfortunately, that's all they have, as the rest of the depth chart leaves a lot to be desired. Wan'Dale Robinson was one of the league's least efficient receivers last year, while Darius Slayton looked like a shell of his former self. Presumed starting quarterback Russell Wilson loves throwing outside the numbers, and Davis has the skill set to bring out the best in the veteran. And if first-round pick Jackson Dart wins the starting job, then it wouldn't hurt to add another weapon to his arsenal. New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints do not have the talent to compete in 2025. With this in mind, they should devote the upcoming season to finding out what they have in second-round pick Tyler Shaw. Quarterback is the game's most important position, but finding the right supporting pieces can go a long way in helping a young player develop. Gabe Davis isn't Ja'Marr Chase, but he brings a unique skill set to this offense and could give Shaw a reliable red zone threat and jump ball specialist. With all due respect to wide receiver DK Metcalf, the Pittsburgh Steelers signing of four-time MVP quarterback Aaron Rodgers was arguably the team's biggest acquisition of the offseason. Rodgers has made it clear that 2025 will likely be his last season, after which he plans to live a private life out of the public eye while leaving the NFL behind. Because of those comments he made during an appearance on the Pat McAfee show, some have questioned whether or not Rodgers' heart is still with football, and whether or not he has enough left in the tank to help the Steelers snap their streak of 8 straight seasons without a playoff win. But for as many doubters as Rodgers has, he seemingly has one big believer in former Steelers head coach Bill Cowher, who led Pittsburgh to 149 wins, 10 playoff appearances, 8 division titles, 6 AFC Championship game appearances, 2 Super Bowl appearances, and 1 Super Bowl championship during his 15-year tenure with the team. During a recent appearance on The Dan Patrick Show, Cowher laid out his expectations for Rodgers and how he should run the Steelers' offense. "I think Aaron's at a point where he knows you don't want him to be throwing the ball 40 times a game at this point," Cowher said. "You want Aaron Rodgers to be healthy going into the playoffs. Hopefully you get to the playoffs. I think in the meantime, you've created a balance on your football team and not just relying on his arm throughout the course of 4 quarters. Listen, you can turn the ball over to him at the end of the half, end of a game, and know he's been there before. I think he will operate that very efficiently. Again, I think it's going to be a matter of getting comfortable within the system with the players he has around him." Cowher also added that while the Steelers seem like a much better fit for Rodgers than the New York Jets were, that also comes with the pressure to perform well and win games. 8 years, no playoff wins. There is a degree of urgency in that building, no question about it, Cowher continued. They understand that that's part of it. Part of that is winning your division. You want to win your division first, and I think that's what's first and foremost when you look at what they've done.